The Rally for Red October bus right behind us. It's going to go all around Philly. It's going to make some stops in Delco.
3 stops in Delco, no big deal.
Ben Davis got that put through. Ben Davis made sure that happened. Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis, you've been watching this team all year long. I was talking to some guys down in Miami. They really wanted to face the Brewers and the Dodgers. But how about for the Phillies? Because, the Marlins have played well against the Phillies this year and in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a tough matchup because of all the left-handers they have. They'll start one tomorrow. They'll start another one on Wednesday. So those guys are good. Their bullpen is really good with left-handers too. I still think we have the advantage on so many levels just because of our ability to be there last year, the understanding of what it's like, and because of all of you, too, just to kind of lift us up a little bit, too. 8 o'clock start. Yeah. I mean, I think that the Major League Baseball saw what happened last year and said, let's see, Tampa, 8 o'clock, no. Milwaukee, 8 o'clock, no. I think we'll just do Philadelphia at 8 o'clock because it's going to be crazy. Yeah.
Getting a little taste of that. How about you, the matchup against the Marlins? What stands out to you?
Well, I would agree. I think some of their lefties can neutralize some of our lefties in the lineup, but I think that's why Bohm, Real Muto, and Castellanos have to come up big in the series. The Marlins are very, very good in one-run ball games. You had mentioned that on the broadcast yesterday, Tom. So that is something to be concerned with. But they got to build up some runs. I think they're going to win this series with offense. They have to.
It's very interesting because the Marlins are the best team in one-run games, but they go into these playoffs with the worst run differential of any playoff team ever.
Right.
So is that sustainable, winning those really close games, one-run games?
Well, I think it is, but I also think I agree with Ben. I can't imagine it's going to get to that point. I just think it's going to be – they're going to have to keep up with our offense. That's my opinion. And I think that's where the advantage is for the Phillies standpoint.
Without a doubt. I think that's the way it's going to be.
And I also think Arise being banged up is also – there's a question. He's going to play. I can't imagine he won't play. But the fact that he's still kind of banged up, I think, does weigh on them.
Yeah, and you heard about how he got hurt, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was during, the closers celebration or the entrance music, the lights go out, he was going down the dugout steps?
Wait till he becomes 55 and he's got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and there's no lights on. That's when it really gets difficult.
But he, of course, one of the best hitters in baseball, hit 347 against the Phillies this year. And you look at him, when he's got runners on base, he's hitting over 400.
He's really good.
He's good.
How do you approach him if you're the Phillies hitters? You don't want to let him get on base.
No, you don't want to let him get on base, but you also got to realize that, hey, I think you wipe the slate clean in the playoffs.
Do too.
And I think you attack him accordingly. He's a good hitter. His bat-to-ball skills are off the charts. His hand-eye coordination. He uses the whole field. Doesn't hit for a whole lot of power, but he's very good bat-to-ball skills. I just think you got to kind of play him straight up and hope he hits it at somebody.
Yeah, and I also think that the next 2 nights you've got Zach Wheeler's cutter / sweeper on the left-handers, and Aaron Nola has to get his two-seamer. I don't want to get too technical, but I think that his secondary fastball has to work against him because it's got to start at his hip and go off. He's got to give up on it.
So help me out here because I think this rests on Aaron Nola. I think he's the key to the playoffs for the Phillies. And give up 5 homers to the Marlins this year, most of any team. They hit him pretty good. Jorge Soler got to him. What is the key for Aaron Nola, and do you think he found himself a little bit in the last month?
His last couple starts were outstanding. In particular, his last start, his fastball command was outstanding. He used his two-seamer a lot more, and he used his changeup a lot more. He was throwing the two-seamer underneath the hands of the righties and following them with that same changeup, same plan, but they were out in front because they were looking for that fastball. He was good. He didn't rely so heavily on the breaking ball. Now, some of the Marlins have good numbers against him, but I think overall, his last couple outings, I think he found something. I think he got ticked off the way he was throwing the ball throughout the course of the season. He said, enough is enough. So you're right, though. This series is going to be huge for Aaron Nola.
And you look at the pitchers, of course, the Marlins have all those lefties, Jesus Luzardo, and you've also got Braxton Garrett coming in.
Yeah.
And look, the 4 starts that they made against the Phillies this year, the Marlins won all 4 of those.
Yeah. I still think that they are. I think Luzardo is a 2. Like, he's not the main guy. Alcantara would be. I still think that they're going to be kind of overwhelmed by the scene. I really do. I just don't think that if you don't experience what's happening, one time, it's going to affect you that first time.
And they can say all they want about, oh, we've been there. We took 7 out of 13 from them.
They
haven't played in this environment.
No,
it's going to be hell for them.
Yeah. Whoa.
3 hours.
Whoa. It's not Sunday. We're okay.
Oh, all right. Okay.
As Rob Thompson said, 3 hours of hell, 4 hours of hell. It's probably 3 hours now with the pitch clock.
2 hours and 47 minutes of hell.
But the Phillies all time 22-11 at Citizens Bank Park, and that is tied for the highest winning percentage at any ballpark in postseason history.
Nice.
And it is because of these fans. They have created an incredible atmosphere. When you step in there as a guy who hasn't had the postseason experience like a lot of these Marlins, what do you think that's going to be like for them?
It's not going to be easy. And again, you can be Mr. Bravo and think, oh, we played there before. We've had success there. It is a different environment. It's on a national stage, and this place is not going to be easy to play. That's the bottom line. And it's a different – there were some ballparks that I just absolutely hated going to because the fans, the way they react to you, you just felt uncomfortable for 9 innings. That's the way they're going to feel here.
And I love what Nick Castellanos said. He said after having that experience as a team last year, when the music comes on again, it's a lot easier to dance this year. I was like, wow, he is poetic. And that's true with the experience they had last year.
I would agree with that. And I think that Rob mentioned this the other day, and I do believe this is true. I don't always feel this way, but it sounded good from him. You get behind in these games, it's not over. Like, you have to realize that, because a lot of times when you've never experienced this before, you get behind, you're like, all right, well, we're not going to do this. These guys won't be that way. If they get behind, I mean, listen, they're number 3 in all Major League Baseball and come from behind wins. I actually think that's bigger than the 1-run victories. I really do. I think that gives you an indication of a championship team.
Yeah, and the new guys that came in, they felt that. Never quit in any game. They show a lot of fight. We've got a lot of great Phillies fans here at Comcast Plaza. It is the Hunt for Red October and the Rally for Red October presented by Toyota. And we're going to take some of your questions here and virtually. So if you want to get online, you can ask us some questions. Ashley's standing by right now. We've got some Phillies fans with some questions for Tom and Ben here.
Yeah, guys, we have our first fan question here from Taylor. Woo! First of all, let's go, Phils.
Yeah.
I am so excited for Red October. Question for you. Prediction. Which daycare player do you think is going to come up big for the Phillies this series? Who's going to be most important here?
I think Alec Bohm is the most important here. I really do.
Answer.
Well, I mean, you gave me the first option. I think Alec is the most important, and I think he is because of what he did yesterday. I think I'm not going to say who Ben's other answer is, but he and another guy did really well yesterday to get themselves out of the funk they've been in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I like Bryson Stott. I love what he does.
I knew where you're going. I knew you were going.
You're right, though. That was a big day. I know it was just another game for these guys and just, playing until you play 162. But those two guys, Stott and Bohm, had tremendous games yesterday. Marsh had a great game yesterday. So I think they can kind of carry that over to the playoffs and have success.
Great question, by the way. And so that leads me to this. So with the left-handed pitching that you're going to see, Bryce did hit very well against lefties this year. Kyle Schwarber, not as much. But would you consider moving up Castellanos or Bohm up into that cleanup spot behind Bryce?
It's a good question. I don't think he's going to do it. I think Rob is going to stay with his lineup, and I think he's going to alternate it. Now, again, that could change, but the way he talked the other day, I still think he's going to back Castellanos 6th or 7th. I really do.
Because Bohm and Castellanos hit, lefties really well this year.
He could change it, but that's just how I feel the conversation has gone with him the last few days. Now, again, he could switch it, and he hasn't been afraid of making those switches. But I just think he's led us to believe that it's probably going to be the lineup we've seen recently.
Yeah, I think Bohm's going to be behind Harper. I think there's just less swing and miss with Bohm behind Harper than there would be with Castellanos. And Castellanos, listen, he was very gracious in moving down. He didn't want to do it, but for the sake of the team, he did it. He's produced.
Yeah.
He didn't go down there and sulk and say, I'm not a 7-8 hole hitter. That's not me. He went down there and produced, and that shows you what kind of basically what this whole team is comprised of, and the type of the chemistry that they have and what they're made of.
Yeah.
And I really like this matchup for Nick because he's a righty against the lefties, but also because he really found himself on that trip to Miami.
Yeah.
Got to go home in the home batting cage and really got it going from there. What have you seen from him? Because he's going to be big. You're going to have him and Bohm, some big righties in this lineup. JT as well. He hasn't done as well at home, but he's come on over the last couple weeks. So what do you see from the righties especially? Because they're going to be the guys that have to attack these lefties.
They're going to have to come up big. Those three guys, Bohm, JT, and Castellanos, they're going to have to come up big. I'm not saying the lefties aren't going to do any damage. We saw Schwarber go deep off Quintana the other day.
He's got 16 home runs against lefties.
So, I mean, and Harper hits them well. He uses the whole field against them. But these guys it's going to have to be a 1 through 9 type of deal. And they're going to have success. They're going to have to hit these lefties, and they're going to have to drive the ball and hit the ball out of the ballpark. And I think they can do that.
Yeah, and Bryce, by the way, amazing against lefties. 352 at home this year and hit most of his homers at home. You called pretty much all of them.
He's a cyborg. He really is. He's just a different cat. We have not had anything. I think the closest thing we have to his personality and his big game ability is Chase Utley. Yeah,
that says a lot.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper and Chase Utley, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Ashley is standing by. We've got a lot of Phillies fans here at the Comcast Plaza. I'll let her get ready real quick. We have some Phillies fans who've got questions. And once again, you can jump on and you can ask Tom and Ben some questions virtually. Let's go over to Ashley now.
All right, our next fan question comes from Ed. Ed, what do you got?
Yes, Ed O'Donnell. Charlie Manuel is one of the greatest positive thinkers who's ever lived. And when he gives a talk anywhere, he gives like a sermon on positive thinking. So the question is, at all levels in sports, how do we get coaches, players to talk more about positive thinking, friendliness, kindness, especially to help these kids in the inner cities?
Well, I think that Rob Thompson is a great role model for something like that. He's actually gone out to the Boys and Girls Club here in Philadelphia and the PAL Center on several different occasions. In fact, they just did a total renovation of the one PAL Center, and he was part of that as far as being a spokesman goes. So, I mean, my thought is that, he's the perfect person for that. I would also lean on some of the players. Brandon Marsh, if you ever watched him interact with kids, not only in the inner city, but also at the ballpark, he's pretty incredible when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that, to me, those two, it's a team effort on all different levels. And I think that Rob is a great leader when it comes to all that stuff. He's just a leader. And that's why we're going to do well, because the man doesn't let anything faze him.
No.
And you know what? We kind of forget, you see the Braves and how good they are.
Yeah.
Epic lineup and epic production. But the Phillies, once again, just like last year, hit their stride in June. Second best team in baseball since June. And this team is right there with all the other teams. Is there any fear of the Atlanta Braves?
No.
I mean, the Braves are a juggernaut. What they've done offensively is incredible. It's historic. But is there any fear about them?
I don't fear them.
I don't fear them, and I don't think the players fear them. I don't think this team fears anybody.
I agree.
They just go about their business, and they say we don't care who we play. They don't care. They feel that they're going to go out there and they're going to have success against any opponent, whether that be the Braves or the Brewers or the Dodgers, whoever. That's how much belief they have in themselves and in each other, and it's not going to waver.
Yeah,
it just won't.
And I think, despite the fact the Braves did have the winning record this year in the season series, I still think that the Phillies are in their head, and I think it will be. Listen, they got to get through the Marlins first.
Yeah,
but I do not fear the Atlanta Braves.
Now, Spencer Strider has been unbelievable against the Phillies in the regular season, but we saw what happened last year. You talk about being in their head. Do you think the Phillies are in his head specifically?
Well, it's a good question. My only thing about that last year, and Ben can attest, he wasn't healthy. Like, he just wasn't healthy. However, I do think that when he arrives at our ballpark for Game 4 of the NLDS, I do think that there's going to be an impact on it. I really do.
Maybe the Phillies could show that Rhys Hoskins home run and bat spike.
They might show that a couple times.
It might be there. Yeah, it might be there.
It
might be there.
But getting back, they just don't fear anybody. They don't care who's on the mound. They said they're going to go up there and they're going to have good quality at bats. They're going to be professional about it and go up and attack accordingly.
What do you think we're going to see from Zach Wheeler Game 1 tomorrow night, 8:08. All these Phillies fans are going to be there. And we have heard Zach Wheeler, the moment he stepped down in Clearwater all season, he has never forgotten about that Game 6 last year. It has been in his mind the whole entire time.
He has not forgotten about that.
No, and nor should he. But I always look for Zach Wheeler to have an outstanding ball game. His stuff, his pure stuff, he's relied so much more heavily on his fastball this year, especially in recent starts. He's going to be poised and primed for a great performance. I look for him to give these 7 innings tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I do.
That to me, I'm telling you, they've made some really good signings over the last handful of years. That to me is as under a radar premier signing as anybody's ever made. He's not only in baseball terms affordable, but he has exceeded everything he's done with the New York Mets.
He's been durable.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been. I mean, talk about, if you think about it, I know he makes a lot of money. He's a steal for what they were able to get him for.
He's also very funny.
He's a great
very funny.
Well, let us know about that because we don't always see that side of him because he's very professional.
Very dry. So last year during a game, there was a time where Zach Eflin went over and got a I don't know, it was a foul ball or something like that, and he went over and got it. And I said, wow, Zach Wheeler really went after that, and it was Eflin. So the next day, I'm talking to Zach Wheeler, and he goes, "What's up, Tim?" And he kept on walking, and I'm like, "Tim, that's weird." And I went, "Wait a minute, did you call me Tim because I called you Zach Eflin yesterday?" He goes, "Yeah."
No, but he's different. In fact, some pitchers, and I was a catcher, so I had to deal with them every day. But some pitchers, when it was their day to start, that you couldn't talk to them.
You're right.
Like, until you went over the game plan, they didn't talk to anybody. They stayed about their business. They stayed in their locker, and they just looked forward, listened to music, whatever. Zach Wheeler's a different cat. He comes out and hangs out in the dugout with us and talks and like, what do you think? Oh, I like this mound. It's a good mound. I like pitching here. Blah,
I don't
blah,
like the backdrop. It's too close.
And he just comes out and just, really just shoots the breeze with you and gets ready for it. That's how much belief he has in himself and his teammates. And it just doesn't let anything really get to him.
Yeah. So you got Zach Wheeler and then Aaron Nola Wednesday night.
Yeah.
If there is a deciding Game 3, who do you guys think it is?
I think it's got to be Ranger.
I think it's Ranger.
I do. I think the experience plays a part of that. And, I just think their options are kind of limited after the first two.
I will say this, though. If for some reason there's a need for Ranger in games 1 and 2, they're not going to be afraid. He could be in the bullpen. And if they don't need him, then he starts game 3.
So if you're up a run and you can close it out in game 2, Ranger Suarez, 9th inning could possibly close out.
No, I don't think that. I just think that, I can't put anything past Rob because he does think about these things. I still think that if you haven't used Alvarado or Kimbrel, it's going to be their inning.
Wow.
Yeah, but I do think that he'll be there in case they need him. But I think that's the plan, is that he's going to start game 3.
And let's go back over to our crowd here at Comcast Plaza.
Yeah.
Look at all the red out here in Center City. Ashley's over there with a Phillies fan.
All right, our next fan question is from Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
What's up, guys? Following up on your bullpen talk, T-Mac, who needs to step up out of the bullpen considering how hot and cold they've been? And can young Mr. Kirkering be a factor as we go forward?
I do think he'll be a factor. I don't know how intense the moment will be that he'll be in, but he is going to be on the roster. At least that's my understanding of it. I think the guys at the end of the bullpen, Kimbrel and Alvarado they just need to be the guys. Like, you need to rely on them. So if you have a lead, it's done. If it's a matchup against the left-hander in the 9th inning, it's Alvarado. If it's a matchup against a right-hander, it's Craig Kimbrel. Those guys, to me, they need to get it done. I will say this: Gregory Soto has been unbelievable the last 2 weeks.
Yes,
he's been good at times this year. There's been like 3 or 4 outings where he's given up multiple runs. So that's why his ERA is a little higher.
I still feel that some other guys are going to play a factor in this. The Sarah Anthony. I think he kind of find a couple things his last couple outings as well. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions from Phillies fans, the right-handers in the bullpen. Where do you think Sir Anthony really is right now? How much do you trust him?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say probably around a 7. I trust him. I think he's kind of figured out. Ricky Bo and I were talking during the game yesterday. He comes in, he threw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. I forget who it was, struck someone with that little cut on it. And I said to Ricky, I wish he could realize how stinking hard it is to hit.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be perfect. I think that was his biggest mistake this year, just trying to be too perfect. Well, you got to realize if you throw 98 down the middle, I don't care if it's down the middle, it's still hard to hit. He's trying to be perfect with that 98. just throw the ball and have confidence in it. And I think that's something, if he has a little bit more conviction in each and every pitch, I think he's going to have more success.
All right, and Ben, this is a good transition to you because we have a question virtually from a professor. That is a tough name, but I'm going to read the question. I can read that. My question is for Mr. Handsome Ben Davis. How in the world do you look so young and that head of hair, and there's an emoji there. I can't quite tell
Are you
what
making this up?
Is that
does that
his
legit
dad?
say? Does
Is
that
that
say
his
that?
dad? Does that say Bill Davis?
It's definitely a Delco guy, but Ben, I mean, that head of hair, how do you look so young? I want to know.
Well, thank you very much for the confidence, for the
He's caught off guard.
compliment.
The confidence also.
He's caught off
The
guard.
compliment, I know.
Curveball.
No, fortunately, I'm blessed with a good head of hair. I use a lot of gel. That's it.
By the way, there is a question here. It's more of a statement. I can't get the name here, but one Phillies fan's not a complaint, but said, you guys need to stop complaining and just have confidence in the Phillies. We're just trying to set up the challenge that is the Marlins. The Marlins are not easy, and they're a scrappy team.
Yeah.
So we're just setting up what the Phillies are going to be facing.
I have nothing but confidence in this. I really do. I don't feel I don't feel that this is going to be a speed bump at all. I just don't want to look past them,
Right.
Because I think people have done that before in years past. I just want to give the Marlins as much of our attention as possible before we think about the Braves.
I would agree with that, and I don't think the players will. I don't think they're worried about Tuesday night, tomorrow night. That is the only thing they're worried about right now.
I can't wait. I mean, I wish it was today. Honestly, I really do. I wish it was today.
I think the players wish it was today.
I'm going to the ballpark in a little bit. I've got to do an interview with Zach Wheeler in a little bit, and I can't wait for that. But I wish it was today. I really did.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think these Phillies fans wish it was today. What a beautiful week it's going to be, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's not last week and what we went through here.
Son was on vacation for a little
it was.
while.
That's right.
Yep.
That's
It
right.
was.
All right. How about a virtual question from Michael Colazzo? And this is a good question, and it not only involves off the bench, but in the lineup. Where do you think the Phillies land when needing a right-handed bat deep off the bench, Christian Pache or Wes Wilson? But that's an interesting question to actually have as in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think Pache is going to start tomorrow in left field, and I think Wilson will be the right-handed bat off the bench, and I think that's good. I think they needed a right-handed bat off the bench.
Yeah, and I think with Zach Wheeler on the mound, I think defense is going to be at a premium, and I think Pache offers you the best defense out there.
Yep.
Yeah, and let's go to another question. This is Patrick Harris. How worried should we be about the Marlins? One Phillies fan just didn't want to hear about the Marlins, but listen. They are a scrappy team, and they have made the playoffs over the last week without several of their best starters. And Luis Arise wasn't even in the lineup.
So I will say this. The last 2 weeks of the season, actually the last 3 weeks of the season, they had by far the easiest opponents against percentage of anybody. So they were set up to do this, even without all their players. Again, they're a scrappy team, but this team is better than they are. So and they're home. That's the biggest thing, is that they're home. And, you know, we're not going to have to go to Lone Depot Park, and it's the dreariness of that. We're going to I don't like Lone Depot Park.
I'm with you.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But, yeah, no, it's
like playing at a morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
I remember
it's always closed, too. I don't get it.
I remember JT Realmuto told me that when he was playing for the Marlins, they had to whisper in their own dugout because of how quiet it was in there. They didn't want the other team to hear what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And that is amazing to have that amount of silence in a ballpark.
Very true. It is the quietest ballpark in the history of ballparks.
And it's a nice ballpark. It actually is, but it is so quiet. I mean, it's desolate in there.
But all the games are going to be right here in
Philly. That's right.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and only if necessary on Thursday. How many of you are going to the games? We're going to see you out there? All right, we have another question here from a Phillies fan, Corey C. Maybe Corey Clement, former Eagle. Do you think they will use Hoffman in the bullpen? How do you think they will use him?
I think
what role?
I think he's going to be in the 7th or 8th inning.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be in a high leverage situation. He's a great story. You need these kind of stories in baseball to be a championship team. I think he's going to be in the 7th and 8th in high leverage.
And he's earned it.
He sure has.
He basically came in as a mop-up guy when he first when they signed and they brought him back to the big leagues.
Great signing.
But I mean, think about it. He was Bryce Harper's batting practice pitcher. Is basically what he was, traveling around with the team, throwing Bryce live batting practice. And Bryce said, "This guy's pretty good."
He was really good.
And they put him in, and he really has earned his way into high leverage situations. And why not? He's got great stuff.
Mhm.
But I think the addition of the splitter that he's throwing now, I mean, he's basically a fastball slider when he first starts, and then he starts throwing the splitter, and that can really neutralize a lot of these lefties.
Yeah, good point. And by the way, a little bit of an appreciation for like Kyle Schwarber, for example. I mean, second straight year he finishes the second most home run in baseball, and the amount of walks that he's had this year. I know he always tells you guys as well, tells everybody, I don't like to see that 1 in front of my batting average, but the amount of times he's on base, how much does that help the team? And is he kind of changing the leadoff spot in a way?
He is, and I can't believe I said it the other night on the postgame show. I said, I don't care about his batting average. I never thought, because I'm kind of a purist.
You're an analytic guy.
I never thought I'd say that, but I don't. I mean, I can't imagine hitting 93 doubles in 2 years, okay? Let alone 93 home runs. Yeah. I mean, this guy is must-see TV.
Yeah.
But the walks, what he's been able to, what he finished with 103 RBIs?
106.
No,
104. 104.
Yeah, 104. Nick had 106.
Yeah.
What he's been able to do, that he's been able to get those opportunities because the bottom of the lineup has produced. They have to pitch to him because the bases are occupied.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting the home runs and the RBIs. And then obviously he's scoring a lot of runs because the middle of the lineup is driving him in. You say, well, he's just going to clog up the bases. He's not clogging up the bases because the guys behind him are driving him in. He's been a godsend at the top of the lineup.
I think he's as entertaining a baseball player as we have for this generation right now. I just think he is. If you look at the top 10 hitters in baseball batting average wise, the last time I looked, he has been on base more than 4 of them. They're the top 10 batting averages in Major League Baseball. He's been on base more than 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. Nobody ever in baseball history has driven in 100 runs and batted under 200. But nobody has done it the same way the way he's done it.
No.
Nobody's done it that way.
Yeah. And before we get to a quick question about Rhys Hoskins, I mean, you guys can tell the crowd here because you're in the clubhouse a lot. I remember asking Dave Dombrowski going into the year before last year, what is needed on this team? Do you need that leadership? And then they went and got Kyle Schwarber, who had that World Series experience. What he has done for this clubhouse, can you even put it into words?
No. I can't remember. Maybe it was Ruben who said it the other day. It was when Aaron Rowan came, even though he wasn't part of the World Series team, he's changed the clubhouse. And I think Kyle Schwarber has changed the Phillies clubhouse. Now, they have really good leaders. They do. But I think he's taken it to a different level.
Dave Dombrowski has gone after character guys.
Yeah.
And I think no one has a better character than this team as collectively. And I think that's why they're a big reason why they're in the position they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember Dave talking about the leadership when he got Darren Dalton and he compared those two together. So that's pretty amazing.
Comparison. That's a good comparison.
That's pretty amazing. All right. We have some virtual questions, and one of them is about Rhys Hoskins. And Rhys Hoskins, what is the plan for Rhys Hoskins? And do you think we will see Rhys Hoskins at some point?
I think you have to be open-minded about him because there is a chance if we make it to the World Series that he could have an impact on this team off the bench. When we make the World. Thank you. I think he's working hard to do it. I just think it depends on how the knee reacts after he ramps up the batting practice. Now, I've watched him take batting practice 3 times, and I've been impressed all 3 times. But again, it's batting practice. He is going to have to go down to Florida and get live pitching, stuff like that.
And hopefully that happens this week from what we're hearing.
Hopefully it does.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does.
But it would be a heck of a bat to have off the bench. That's for sure.
And it would be an amazing story for him and for this organization for this to happen because the guy is, I've told people he's top 3 of the people I've met in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, just on and off the field.
And the Phillies will tell you that Rhys has never turned down a public appearance or something for a charity, something in the community, and he offers his services all the time to go out and be with the people.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Again, character guy.
Yeah.
Character guy. You're right. All right, so maybe a final question here virtually. I see a lot of please no Angel Hernandez. I don't think you have to worry about that.
I really don't have to worry about it. I really don't think you have to worry about it. But
we did hear that from he's one of the most despised people that comes through our city. But how about this question from Christopher? So who do you think will have an iconic moment? We've seen a couple last year. Reese Hoskins against the Braves, Bryce Harper
Yeah.
against the Padres. Who do you think in this series could possibly have an iconic moment
I'll let
or
you
the
answer
entire
first.
playoffs?
I'm going to say JT. I always go with the catchers. I just think he matches up well with a lot
What
of these
about
lefties.
Stubbs?
Stubbs, he could as well. But no, I think JT is prime for this.
I'm going Bryce Harper. My thought is that
Way to go on a limb.
I'm just saying he rises up to the occasion. Well, I could pick anybody, but he's the guy. He's the guy that rises up to the challenge.
Amazing. And we appreciate these virtual questions sponsored by Hatfield. Let's go with one more. Matt Ott, how important is it that Aaron Nola goes 7+ innings? Now, in his 3 starts against the Marlins this year, I don't think he made it out of the 6, and I think he had his shortest outing one time against the Marlins. Struggled a little bit against the Marlins this year. How important is it that he gets to 7 innings Wednesday night?
I don't know if the amount of innings. I just want him to put the Phillies in his best position to win.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put a number on it. If he gives him 5 great innings, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then you can rely on that bullpen again. But I think he just needs to put himself and his team in the best position to win.
I would agree with that. And I think I do think that in all of baseball playoffs, the leash is shorter. So if he runs into even a little bit of a hiccup or they feel like there's something analytically that they see, then he'll be out. I mean, I'm with Ben. 5 or 6 is fine. If he goes 7, awesome. And let's give him a standing ovation.
Yeah. And that was cool when he left in his final regular season start this season, a standing ovation. He got tipped his cap. Hey, these guys are the best. You watch them every night on the Phillies broadcast. Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis.
Thank you, Johnny.
Great
Thanks,
job
McCarthy.
this year.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
And thank you for coming out here
everybody.
today to Comcast Plaza. Thank you. Thank all of you who came out here. We appreciate it. And this is a rally for Red October. Can you feel it?
Let's do it.
One day away.
Let's do it.
Thank you to Toyota. Thank you to Hatfield. Thanks for the rally to Red October here. And now the bus is going to hit the road
Oh, is it still here?
and go all around.
Oh, hey.
There it is.
Hey.
There it is. Go sign the bus, everybody. Thanks for watching here. And have a great day and have a great Red October.
Let's go, Phils.